Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I can't believe I have two people from the West Coast with me this morning because I could barely get this skinny little ass out of bed at 6:30 in the morning. So I just assumed that the two of you didn't go to sleep. Must be right. No sleep?
2 hours.
2 hours for Sir Z. Kazi's working on coffee.
I am working on coffee. It's about 6 for me. Yeah, a whole 6. I can't believe it. I'm like a bat. Sleep upside down.
And Brian, we'd asked Brian how much sleep he got. I'm afraid that his internet will catch up with us tomorrow. But what's really going to happen is Brian's going to create new 4-letter words as he explains to us what it's like to put together IKEA furniture for 4 hours. Brian, one question for you. What was more painful? The inside of your fingernails after putting those tiny ass screws and caps over them, or your eyelids after watching the Everton match on Wednesday?
Oof, that's a tough one. Actually, the worst part right there was putting glass doors on this cabinet right there, man. It took me like 4 fucking tries. It was awful.
And fresh off of his appearances on Thursday night, Trevor's with us this morning as well. Trevor clearly either couldn't stomach going to the bar this morning for the 12th time in 6 seasons at 7:30 in the morning, or his wife said if you go to the bar again at 7:30 in the morning, you will have an appointment with a divorce attorney this afternoon. One of the two. But how are we this morning, Trevor?
Option 3, they're not open.
Option 3, they're not open. That is said by a true.
He's more pissed off that the bar's not open. He's like, it's 7:30, guys. What are you doing? Come on, let's go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've given up.
I actually did. I was in Chicago this week. I went and watched the Everton match at the official Liverpool Supporters Club of Chicago. It was a great atmosphere, I will say. They play all the games, so there were Newcastle supporters. There were, lots of other teams. It's definitely primarily Liverpool. They take over the place. But, of course, there was like a pocket of Everton supporters that just had one table. And I'm sure every other time this match has happened in 10 years, that table's been silent and people just kind of laughed at them, maybe even sent an appetizer or two over because they felt bad for them. But man, were they living it up. You would have thought they had just won the European Cup. So let's not talk about that. We spent our time in therapy on Thursday with the panel show at night, the podcast. Let's talk here. First, I'd like to credit Lauren Page that did the graphic for us. She's a new graphics person. She's doing great work, but this isn't hers. We're going to get some of her work up later, but we want to start to recognize the artists that are helping us grow the site. This is one I stole off Twitter, and it came right off the Liverpool page, so I don't feel like I have to credit anyone for it. But West Ham, Liverpool today. It's funny. One of these guys who's prominently featured in this picture isn't in today's starting lineup. So, Kazi, I'm going to start with you. Happy with this lineup? Would anything you would have done differently with the lineup? What was your initial reaction coming off the Everton match and just knowing what kind of performance we need to put in?
I hate it. I hate the lineup. I hate Elliot on the right. The first thing I thought of was, fucking hell, we're missing Ben Doak, aren't we? Because he probably would have got loads of minutes right now. You know what I mean? Because he was playing quite well in the Europa League and probably would have started on the right in some games in a weird way. So I hate that. I hate the front three in the way it's set out. Because I'd like Gakpo on the left. He was going to start on the left because that's where he was getting his good form back. Unless the manager stuff brings a surprise and plays, 4-2-3-1 or something like that, which I don't see, or 4-4-2, which I just don't see. So yeah, listen, the defence picks itself at this point. I think Kwanzaa would have to come back in for Kanate, that's standard. 78 minutes. Robertson's probably been one of our better players, I would say, in the last few games. Not great, but better. And though you kind of got to pick and choose his games right now because he looks like he's fucked and he's desperate for the end of the season. So you picked this one over Goodison Park, which is something for the manager to have to think about, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, Gravenberch should have started, in my opinion, against Everton. That was before the team came out, and in hindsight, I thought he should have started because it was one of his best performances against Fulham, and I thought we should have capitalised on that. And also, he's had hardly any minutes in his legs this season. The other good thing is, I suppose, is the bench looks as strong as I've seen a Fulham bench in a long, long time. And that lovely name at the end. And I hope he gets some minutes, young Stefan Bajcetic, because I think we forgot how good of a football player he is. Because I think we forget how good he was toward the end of last season. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he gets some minutes as well.
Brian, come up to you. Let's talk about the midfield specifically. I'm with Kazi. I think the defense picks itself. I thought maybe we'd see Gomez just because it's been a while since he played, Robertson 3 times in 7 days, and he did play a lot of minutes. To Kazi's point, he was, nobody was really good against Everton, but everything that was created seemed like it came through Robertson. And, in classic Robertson fashion, he makes the best run a fullback can make, ends up in the box, the ball falls on his foot, and he just lashes it. And, I felt bad for the attendant on the side because he almost got his nose broken. But in that midfield, McAllister obviously going to be deep with, McAllister, Endo, and then Gravenberch. Do you feel that Endo is starting to get run down a bit, as Kazi mentioned? And where in this match compared to the Everton match, it felt like he would get a rest in one of these, and it just feels like it's kind of pick and choose at this point, and I'm not sure the manager's picking all the right numbers at this point.
I think he's definitely getting exhausted, but I think this manager's trying to go out and get the 5 points that he needs right there for European for top 4. I mean, so I think after if we get a result here, you're going to start seeing a lot more rotation right there, because that'll be 3, so you're winning only 2 more points out of the last couple of matches. I like Gravenberch right there back on the right because I think he looked connected. The only problem is that Gapco was on the left, and I thought they had a great connection together. We're just missing that middle piece right there, and I just get concerned about Gapco being in the middle, just because we had a lot of issues with it and complaints about him early in the season with him running the middle. We really missed Jonah. Really, really missed Jonah in this kind of type of match. I was saying that in Discord. I think that I mean, like, I agree with what Kazi said with Elliott, but I do think that it's a very positive right there on the right hand side with a lot of different movement. I mean, between him and Diaz. So, I mean, I'm okay with the midfield.
Trevor, when we talk about Gakpo on the left, Gakpo through the center, I thought at times Diaz looked good on the right because he was actually could use his right foot to make a cross, and it wasn't a guarantee every time what he was going to do and try to drag a defender. How do you see the front 3 throughout the match? And before we start talking about the bench and the elephant in the room, which is, Mo sitting on it, how important is it for them to find goals from open play and not be chasing this game come the late, second portion of the second half?
Yeah, it's interesting to see after everything that Gakpo did well on the left to just be like, you know what? No, let's put him centrally because all of that good form. Let's just take a big hot piss on that. I agree that Elliott up top seems kind of just trying to force a rectangle into a round hole. You're just like, all right, we kind of have to like not play Mo at this point for whatever optics he thinks is in play. And there's really nobody else that he feels comfortable putting up there, I guess. I'd rather have seen Diaz on the right, Gakpo on the left, and the Voldemort Nunez up the middle. Just kind of see what the 2 people in their proverbial best positions could do to nullify all of the bad that Darwin could potentially bring to the table. But I think it was after the Everton result, this was a front 3 like this was kind of almost destined to happen.
Yeah, I have to just, I think I'm agreeing with most of you and disagreeing a little bit with that comment, only because there's no way Darwin starts this game, and he shouldn't start this game. But Salah not starting makes absolutely no sense, except for the manager just saying, like, fuck it. Like, literally, we'll get these 5 points. I see these 5 points. And let's be honest, Spurs and Villa aren't winning out either. So nobody's pushing us to that highest level of needing 5. I bet 3 qualifies us for the European places. And we're going to get more points than that. So I don't think we're really worried about grinding out results with Harvey Elliott on the right wing. over Mo Salah. This feels like, I don't want to be one of these conspiracy people because it really does bother me. I think sometimes when it gets bad, we get really tight ass here as supporters, like all clubs do, and we look for excuses. He's obviously out of form, but a player like Salah, I just don't understand why you take your best goal scorer off the pitch at any point when you're struggling to score goals. He's had some time on the bench to reflect, and I think a player like Salah needs to play it out, needs to score a goal in the first 5 minutes, and then go like first half brace and dominate the match, feel good about himself, and get sung off the pitch, not get brought on uncomfortable trying to find his way. Philip Bidwell, from watching us on YouTube, says, I would have took the gamble and started Danz instead of Nunez. I think once again, we love the kids, and kids are amazing when you need them to play. But then I think we put him on this pedestal, and we saw the highlight of his under 21 goal at Manchester United, and we're like, and that's why he's got to play. And then you realized he was playing against an academy kid who went to like math class 2 hours before the match. So there's a long way from here. Kazi, come back, or Sergi, I want to start with you with the bench. Let's leave Bajcetic out of it because I would like to talk about him and his overall skills and maybe what he could bring to this side moving forward a little later as we wrap things up. But let's talk about the bench with where you see it going today and where you would see the impact coming off of it. Who do you think's the first player subbed in? How do you think the manager might use those subs to impact this match?
Hopefully none of them. I think you're just echoing what Brian was saying and a bit of what Trevor was saying. The fact that we were having to use Elliott on the right wing, it speaks more about Salah and Nunez over the last few weeks and the performance. And he's forced Klopp's hand. It's amazing that we're saying that we've got the quality of like Szoboszlai and Salah on the bench, and I still have no confidence. I mean, so Salah scored the penalty against Atlanta, and he just disappeared after that. So him scoring in the first 5 minutes means. I can't believe I'm saying this about Salah. Like next to Mane was one of my favorite players over the last few years, and it's just like that tumbleweed in my background. It's just I don't know. I have no inspiration for the bench at all, and this is the team I would have picked. This is the best team I would have picked.
If you came here to be uplifted this morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, this guy, that was you literally talked that entire time, and I'm sure listeners either decided to like follow the tumbleweed and jump off a proverbial bridge, or they were just like, it was like Charlie Brown's teacher in the background. It was just like, wah, wah, wah.
That's my internet.
It was probably as depressing as Brian's internet. That's true.
I mean, you need to think here, right, about the Salah thing, because I don't understand all the hate. I don't get it. Right, I think he's coming back from his first. I know what you're saying, because people know we had Jamie Carragher on Sky, mate, saying he's fell off a cliff and we should think about Barcelona. And you need to really have a think that he's coming back from his first serious injury he's had in his career, especially at Liverpool, because he hasn't been injured at Liverpool, and it might just take him some time. I think he's only completed 90 minutes like 4 or 5 times this year, like Liverpool. You know what I mean? So there's times where, of course, I do think he's being dropped because of form. But there is a time where he still might be recovering from his injury as well, his hamstring injury. So I do think he needs a bit of pass up until January and before he went to the AFCON. I think he played 20 games, scored 14, and got 9 assists or something. You know what I mean? That's fucking unbelievable. And again, it's because he set his bar so high. Let's get it right. He's still on 17 goals for a winger. It's not bad, is it? Like, you know what I mean? In the league, it's not bad at fucking all. He still might finish on over 20 goals, and people are going, he's finished and we should sell him. It's 20 goals for a winger. Do you know what I mean? Maybe his strikers can fucking help him out. And Diaz on the other side, can't he help him out with a goal or two? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's only so much the man can do. I also think as well, again, I've seen the compilation of him when he's playing our players for fucking one-on-ones, and this is like an absolute sitters. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's actually playing okay in terms of that, like setting up our other players. Yeah, he's not scoring at the moment, that's fair enough. But I'm with Gally, I think he should just play through. I think he should be allowed. I think he's the right to play through it as well. Especially when you're starting, by the way, Sergi, and I get the point. Elliott, he's been brilliant this year. No one's arguing how good Elliott's been, but not on the right-hand side. Not on the right hand side. He's been good centre mid.
No, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying, bro? If you had a ready-made right, listen, for example, if he was doing Diaz on the right today, Nunes down the middle and Gakpo on the left, I'd go, okay, fair enough, because Diaz has a good game on the right against Fulham. No, he's starting a lad who's played on the right before for us this season and being shite on the right. Elliot was crap on the right. It took about 2 or 3 times he played on the right because he can't get going. So I just feel like, docking for a kid who doesn't play that position is just harsh. He should be allowed to play through it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I mean, I think there's a conversation at the end of the season to whether or not he stays. New manager, new tactics. I'm not saying that he isn't good enough to play in here anymore. I do think this would be the last time they'll ever cash him in, and I don't think they'll give him another contract just because of the way that I think this management will set up moving forward. And because of that, good business might say you cash in. That being said, if this is our last 5 or 6 matches with the best goal scorer to be at the club in 15, 20 years and someone who won everything for us, I kind of feel like it's counterproductive in the Jurgen Klopp eyes, in my opinion. He's always let players play through it. He's always let players figure out their way. And it just feels a little odd to me now to be a little bit like, I got 5 matches left and I'm going to be the totalitarian and put my best player on the bench, when we've screamed at times to give even Mane a rest when he was in real rough form, or Mo a rest. But you know why he didn't? Because he knew they could come out of it. It does almost feel in some ways, I don't want to say Jurgen's given up, but those 2 of those last 3 results between Palace and Everton did take a lot out of him. Because I think this has been an emotionally hard time for him to close out. And it's a big transition for him as well. So let's talk quickly here. But first, I do want to recognize we have a new commenter here, Richard Huntington. Hi, Gally, Brian, Kazi, Trevor, and Sir Z. That's more than anyone's ever given effort to say hello to us. And also guests in the chat. How are you? And also, how is your family and friends? We're all doing well. Thank you very much. We'll slot into the manager job in Liverpool. Many thanks. So we will get to a whole lot of slot talk as it gets closer. If someone is clipping that shit, I'm in trouble. That's a drop for the ages right there. We're not going to do too much of it this morning. Will Arnslot be a yes man for FSG? Michael Edwards, Liverpool board, and Richard Hughes. No more than Jurgen Klopp was, people, or Jurgen Klopp believed in FSG, one or the other. We have to believe something. Either he was a yes man or he loved working for him for 9 years because it's all he ever told us, and then he believed in the way they did business. We'll spend all summer and a whole ton of the preseason talking about Arn. Unfortunately, lots of slot puns and jokes. But before we slot him in and he starts slotting out his lineups,
we've got to watch Mikel Antonio batter the fuck out of Jalo Kwanzaa this morning.
Well, that was where I wanted to start with. So let's start with you, Brian. I think Mohamed Kudus might be one of the breakout stars of this season, in my opinion, the West Ham winger. What a steal he was. Another guy that United targeted that they selected Anthony over. That's got to hurt. Obviously, we know what Jared Bowen can do. And Antonio really is like a prototypical old school Premier League striker. Just root one down the middle, kind of kick you in the stomach, like try to take your girlfriend and then score a goal past you, and then do his stupid dance. So is it Antonio's physicality? Is it Kudus's pace? Or maybe is it the playmaking abilities of a Paqueta that kind of gives you the most ajna when it comes to looking at this lineup?
It depends if we see the same side that came out against Everton on Wednesday. I mean, that's the same mentality. I mean, I think if we have a good mentality, I think we can handle this. But like Kazi said right there, Antonio with Kwanzaa, man, that's men against boys. I mean, that's a tough one right there, to do. But I mean, we gotta play everybody. You gotta play everybody. I mean, I think that we should still be okay. I think we'll still be okay.
Trevor, go to you on this one. When it comes to Konate, obviously we all talked about Konate being dropped. It was required. I mean, he was so bad, and he's been poor for months, to be honest. But isn't this why we bought Antonio? Like, didn't we buy Konate for matchups like Antonio, like Everton, when you're gonna have to work a corner against freaking Tarkowski and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and somehow Trent's trying to man mark Dominic Calvert-Lewin at the back post by himself on a corner? Like, What happened to Konate? And if you can't play against Everton and West Ham midweek and you're beat out by a kid who literally was in the academy setup and the preseason when preseason broke, does it speak more about our lack of depth at center back, or does it really speak to how far Konate has fallen?
I think it's very much the latter, because I wish I could pinpoint what has gone south with Konate. It makes no sense. People can point to how he's injured all the time. There's a lack of confidence when you're giving up so many early goals. You kind of get in your own head that you can't really do anything right. But the Everton match, just I hope for at least the set pieces that they're going to do. The fact that Ward-Prowse isn't starting gives me a bit of hope, because there's not probably a better set piece taker in this league than him. So that gives us a bit of respite, where don't have to worry about seeing the same set piece routine 14 times in a row and then not doing anything to fix it. But yeah, I hope for Kwanzaa's sake he isn't getting a yellow card in like the first 10 minutes and then having to play very timid against Antonio, because he will eat him alive.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's a point here, right? If you're David Moyes and you set up your team, you've got to do exactly what Everton do, and because you already have the formula to beat Liverpool, because they've just doing exactly the same kind of stuff that you're going to do, but they just did it to a higher level and a better level. They've just lost 5-2 to Palace. I think they were 4-0 down inside half an hour, weren't they? I think they got battered by Palace, and they're probably going to want a reaction, especially at home. So this is an hard one, this, boys, it really is. But the Konate one it is funny. Let's just say it's funny, because I don't understand how this has happened to him. Yes, his injuries are an issue. That should be something that Liverpool look at. But also, there's a part where he probably wouldn't have really kicked the football if Joe Matip was fit, because Joe Matip was playing the best football he'd had a renaissance really this season until he got injured. I thought he was absolutely excellent. And we've really missed him as well, and people forget that, by the way.
People forget that one more than anyone, Kazi. They leave that off, like when we talk about the injuries for how long all the attackers were out, but we still got goals the whole time. But we lost our starting center back, and it not only did we have to go down rungs, we had to change the tactics in which we played, because he was so free going forward, and he creates so many passes that break the lines. So
and there's also a part as well, mate, when you go, he was probably one of our most informed defenders, and the people go, we can't keep a clean sheet. We've lost a big centre half there, like a big. Listen, Liverpool should still be keeping clean sheets. No one's arguing that, but you know what I'm saying? It's still like, he's still a big piece of the puzzle, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? But it is tough. But listen, Kwanzaa's got a deal today. But the issue I had with Konate and the derby, guys, is that I was always told when I was a child, right, if you're playing centre half and the striker's got the jump on you, just stand off in 5 yards and win the second ball. Konate felt like he had to win every single battle with Calvert-Lewin in the air. Why? Just stand off him. I was told that as a kid. Do you know what I mean? If he's fucking 40 yards away from your goal, 40, what's he going to do with his flicker? Where can he get to? Can he fucking let the ball 5-10 yards? Just stand 5-10 yards off him and pick the second ball up. That's what I was told when I was a kid. But if I think Konate wanted to get into a battle, didn't he? Like, it was like a fucking, I can out-muscle you today and I can outwork you and I can get the best of you. It was so fucking amateur. It was poor, mate. So poor.
Yeah.
Well, what did you want to add there, Sir Z?
Yeah, I think you underestimated Calvert-Lewin. I think, he saw Calvert-Lewin. I think I think Konate thought he could bully him out the game. And I think in regards to the season, I think with Konate, like, he's so used to being rotated with Matip, and now he's playing more games than he thought he would. I think that's why it's just taking its toll on him. And and it's not an excuse. It's about it. I think that's what it is. We definitely missing Matip. It's and it's like I was saying the other day, you miss players when they're not there. Matip was definitely one of the biggest players we missed this season.
Miss players when they're not there, and you recognize their faults when the people in front of them aren't there and the guy deeper in the rotation needs to play. And I think at times that's what's happening to Konate. He was forced to be center back number one, and he's earned that job at times. He's never had it fully as his own. there have been times where Gomez looked like he'd be Van Dijk's longtime center back one partnership. There was times when it looked like it would be Matip, and then Matip would regain it. I don't think Konate ever held it down for more than 6 to 8 matches in a row where you were like, yes, he is locked in the second best center back at this side. And I think you see that when guys are out. And, I always joke, everyone on this team is missed when someone else is here, except for Costas, because clearly the manager is just like, you Greek kid, just sit on the bench. That kid just sit down there. You're never playing. He has got the most slot jokes prepared. He feels like he just pulled like all sevens on a slot machine because he might have an actual shot to get some time on the pitch next year. It's just hilarious.
I love how our manager hates certain players. I thought he hated Shaqiri. I reckon if he would have locked him in the room, he would have battered him because tactically he killed him. But he's like, I've got to bring you off the bench because you do something for me, but also tactically I can beat the fuck out of you right now. Do you know what I mean? I love that about our manager. It's fantastic.
And I think you're right. And I think Costas picked up the Shaqiri went to Chicago, and Costas was like, you know what? Bleep this shit, man. I guess I'm that guy, right? He's like, it's the old joke. He's like, tomorrow you're in the barrel. But we're going to kick this thing up. We got to get to our predictions. I want to thank all of the folks in our chat, especially Richard. We appreciate it. It was a great conversation this morning. Thanks for joining in, mate. Enjoy the match. And just so you know, you asked one question, and I think we should address it because it's why we do this and why we are here at American Scouser. You asked our American fans. The answer is no. The answer is no. We're getting there. I think we're trying. Really? You think we're more passionate?
You're fucking waking up at 4:30 in the morning to watch fucking that shit. You know what I mean? That's fucking passionate.
Yep.
Jesus.
You know what?
Hey, I was born in the UK. So I don't know.
Do you know what I'm saying? But I mean, there's people on the West Coast that are waking up to watch RBLA play right wing.
That is true. I will say they're coming around, but the point of this entire channel, the YouTube channel, our content online, it was to give people a community so idiots like these two from California and Nevada could wake up at 4:30 in the morning and have someone to argue about why Harvey Elliott's starting. But in all seriousness, we do this because we love it and we love the club and we're trying to bring content. So before we get to our predictions, we'll just do the plug because Richard helped with it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you haven't checked out our Patreon content, please go do. There's a monthly plan for as cheap as $1 a month. And it literally helps us find new graphics folks, get more people to do shows, also bring on more content that allows us to bring in more of you to the channel. We're all volunteers here at American Scouser. We appreciate all of your time and effort. So let's get those predictions. Richard started it off somewhere in the thread with a 2-2 draw. If I can find it. What do you got for us, Trevor? Give me the prediction.
Can we do Jersey last so we can say you lose 5-0?
We will absolutely do Jersey last so that in case, hopefully most of the listeners have dropped off by then and they won't hear the depressing tone or because I think some people actually will be sending messages later not to join as a contributor, but to actually check on Sir Z for a wellness check to make sure by halftime he's still with us. Trevor, score. Key moments. What do you got?
I'm kind of upset that Richard stole my thunder. I was going to go 2-2 as well, as much as it hurts my soul to go for a draw. I think we're going to get a lot of chances, but they're going to get just as many. It's going to be, I think, a bit of basketball, the first half at least, and just can I get like 20 minutes of clinical finishing? You can hit the ball into the ninth row for the rest of the 70. At this point, just get 20 minutes of get behind the defense and the shot actually goes not right at the keeper.
Brian, give me a prediction.
1-1.
Kazi, what do you got?
To be honest, I think there'll be like loads of goals. And, I feel like there's going to be a mad one here, like a 4-2, 5-2 Liverpool. I think Liverpool needs to have a load of fun. And I think we need to make football fun again. And that should be our tagline, make football fun again. And yeah, I just feel like there's going to be loads of goals. And hopefully something where says he's not eating cake at half time, at 5:15 in the morning, depressed. So.
Yeah, I was going to go with you somewhere around there, like a 4-2. I am going to say a victory. I think they bounce back. I like the idea of, making football fun again. I also love the idea of you coming up with a cheesy tagline and believing you could run for president. But I think what,
why not?
Yeah, I think what it comes down to is we need to figure out a way to get the players involved that are bright. And I think right now, you made a comment earlier, I'm excited to see Gravenberch play because he looked energetic and alive against Fulham because he was feeling himself. And for the first time in a while, I think he felt like he fit in with the lads and he deserved to be out there playing. And I think if you could get McAllister and him working well together, I think Trent being back changes everything. It makes you dynamic again. I wish he had someone that wasn't, about my pace playing in front of him on the right wing today. But we'll see where that formation goes. And I am going to say it. I think Mo comes in. We talked about the last time he got benched for Fulham 2 years ago. He had, I think it was a brace and an assist in the second half. And he finished and he did this in front of the manager, like not the away fans. He kind of did this, like almost like, look at the bleeping me. Why are you sitting me?
Do you remember the Brentford?
Does it again?
Do you remember the Brentford game a few weeks ago when he comes off the bench at half time and scores and just sets 2 up? And he's like the best player I've ever seen. And you're like, great.
I think that's the Salah we get second half. And I think that's where the goals come. So I'll go 4-2. Sir Z, please don't rest in peace before the end of the weekend. I know shingles suck, but in all seriousness, what do you got for a score for us? And get us out of here so we can warm up some coffee and get to the couch.
I'm just reading Richard's last message.
What? Well, I mean, listen, I guess if you're going to drop this, I mean, again, we read all the messages. The world is corrupt, money and power rule the world, and the truth come out at the end of Judgment Day. Well, I'll say this.
We should have ended it on
if the world was against us in all these 7:30 a.m. matches, Richard might have just wrapped everything up for our final pre-match show.
I actually think he's talking about Man City there, isn't he? He's talking about Man City.
I hope so.
I mean,
it probably is. I mean, he had 115 comments in a 40-minute show today, so he tried to have a comment for every one of their charges.
Rich, we love you, fella. Come back.
We appreciate you, my man. Please come back, and don't forget. As Tamisha would say, hit all the buttons except the one with the thumbs down. Sir Z, you got to give us a score prediction here so we can get some 70s porn music and get out of here.
I'll be positive. 4-2, Salah comes on sub and he scores 2.
Come on, Sir Z.
There we go.
Wow. Richard's inspired me.
And because of that, normally we only save this for after victories, but we needed to leave on a positive note. So it's everybody's favorite outro. Enjoy the match. We'll be back for a post-match following the final whistle, hopefully talking about a victory. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you in a couple hours. Enjoy the match.